Gonna take a short pause on politics and look at something I've always found interesting. If the universe is only a few thousand years old, if the light from distant stars has only had a short time to travel, then how do we see them? Just a couple of years ago, I believed that the Earth was only a few thousand years old. So this isn't to mock, and I present this with humility. The distant starlight problem was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. It was such a great argument. It was such a clean argument. And it forced me to make one of the most defining decisions of my life. This is a star. This is the light from that star. And this star, like most stars, is located very far away from us. When we observe a star, we don't actually observe the star as it is. Rather, we observe the light emitted from that star. And because that light has to travel from its source all the way to our eyes before it can be observed, the further an object is from us, the longer it takes for that light to reach us. Now, light travels very fast enough to circle the Earth 7 times in just a second. But the universe is massive, and the distances in space are so great that even traveling at the speed of light, the vast majority of locations you could never reach in your lifetime, or even many lifetimes. If you took off for the closest galaxy to our own, traveling at the speed of light, it would take you 25,000 years to get there. Enter the distant starlight problem. If the universe is only a few thousand years old, if the light from distant stars has only had a few thousand years to travel, then how do we see them? Now, most Christians might just wave away the idea, and that kind of person can't be helped. But to the intellectual, this is a juicy thought. And we could stop there, but let's address some of the potential counterpoints, because wrestling through the counterpoints is what I think the most interesting part. And what we'll see is that there really is no good way to deal with this problem. Looking back at the yarn, this is young light. It is the light that is just being emitted from the star. And as the star ages, it changes. And as it changes, so does the light that it emits. And stars do change, often quite dramatically. They collapse, they form supernovas, they form black holes, they do all sorts of observable things. And this ball of yarn, and the way the string coming off of it changes from one color to the next, illustrates this well. We can almost think about the string as representing a history of the star, where traveling up and down the line is like looking over its changing state. Alright, so, what if the star was just made with the light already there? The star, in its infancy, at its moment of creation, is a red star. And so the light is brought forward so that it can be observed, cheating the distance and cheating time. And now we can see the star as it is, but now we have another problem. What of this space between the star and us? And here we might scramble to give an explanation for this space, but if we are fair, these explanations don't make things any better, or at least not much better. See, the problem is that in cheating, we create a problem where we have to keep cheating to maintain the lie. What's this about? How can we make sense of this now? We might say that as the star changes, the light is continuously brought forward. But how weird is that though? What even is the point of the star? Is the star even doing anything? There is now a very meaningful disconnect between the light and the star. They really have nothing to do with each other. Alternatively, we might say that at the time of creation, the light was stretched out, such that there is no gap. This at least gets us an image and maintains an image, but then the images we get are unchanging, and they will continue to be unchanging until the new light catches up many years later. This is not only bizarre, not only a false representation of the life of the star, but also demonstrably false. We see stars age, we see them change. Lastly, we might just say that this sort of thing was done. There, this is T0. Here we've set everything up as if it had already been playing out for some time. Then we've solved the problem. At least we've resolved this line. We've created an experience for the observer that can be maintained. But here's the problem with this answer, and the larger point I'm getting to. If that's what happened, if it was all just set up to start with, if T0 is made to look this way, then it's all an illusion. It's all a lie. I have to look up at everything and say, yeah, nah, that's just not what happened. It doesn't reflect reality. It is just made to look that way. And we could do that. And I did that. Well, I did that for a little while. Because as I was wrestling with this dilemma, as I was throwing these sorts of counterpoints out, I had the realization that this wasn't healthy. That I was subscribed to a way of thinking that couldn't be falsified. That I was creating a worldview that couldn't be falsified. That when right was right and when wrong was just seemingly wrong. Where any problem is just an apparent problem. If I can deny what I'm seeing, if I can reject the observable universe as it is, as I see it to be with my own eyes, and instead choose to believe that it's just an image, just a lie, to protect the consistency of my own worldview, if I'm going to think like that, if I'm willing to go that far to protect my worldview, then I can believe anything. anything at all. I could justify anything. And if I can believe anything at all, then I may as well believe nothing. So I had to decide, do I accept this worldview that I inherited, that no matter how wrong it might be, is set up such that I'd never know, because I can just wave away all problems as only appearing to be so, or do I trade my worldview for one that has weight to it, that can hold its own, that has substance to it, that if false could be proven so, but because it is not false, might be proven right. And that is ultimately what I ended up doing.